Yeah, someone asked me, can our like udon machine make um, yeah, inani udon, and then like inani udon like is a bit different from uh, like fresh noodles, but like in terms of like size and then maybe like noodle texture, yeah, we can make something pretty close to inani udon. And for those of you like who don't know like what inani udon is, like that's really one of like most famous types of like udon noodles in originated in northern part of Japan, and it's actually pretty thin noodle. And all right, so yeah, this is the so it's pretty like this is like a blend of three different types of like flowers. Let's pretend, right? So that you can't tell, right? Like because it's all white, it's all mixed up, right? So and then so this is the amount of salt, right? Look at that much salt, like you add into that flour. This is the vinegar, yeah, the the acid, and then water, right? And so it's gonna be um, so this is the our udon machine that's called Shinuchi, and it's only one type. And so this particular mixer is a 12.5 kilograms I mean mixer, and then you can mix up to like 12.5 kilograms of dough at a time, and that's actually half the quantity of the 25-kilogram bag that's standard actually in Japan. And so yeah, so you have to dissolve this salt, right? Like thoroughly, right? Completely into the water, right? So that's a bit of a tough job. So you have to completely dissolve it, and so yeah, watch like how she's doing it, and yeah, so you have to make sure that all the salt is melted, and that's okay. All right, so um, vinegar, right? So that's just well, vinegar could be like any kind of vinegar, like grain vinegar. Type of grain vinegar will be fine. And so we're going to make a dough, right? And the mixing time, it's total mix time is just 5 minutes, and then but we want to add just not the all like liquid, but like just probably two-thirds of it first, right? And then yeah, and then like mix it for 4 minutes to this is just like kind of like to ensure to like good hydration of dough, um, and then yeah, it's like mix it for 4 minutes first, right? And but we can't. For me, it's like precious time, like to waste. So like we don't want to just keep watching, just how it be mixed. So um, luckily, like making me like prepared dough in advance, right? So that's after the first resting process. So 28 degrees Celsius like for 2 hours. So she saved us 2 hours and 3 minutes. And so what we are going to do is to press it, right? Press it. So this is a press machine to press unit. And um, yeah, in old days, right? Like like these ramen shops would well, actually there are currently, like there are some udon shops like that do it too, but like people like would actually step on the like dough to well work it, right, work the dough. And yeah, but like of course like they have like some like the cover over the dough, but it's like literally like people like just like step on like with their feet. And but that's actually a tough job too, like it's because it's very tiring, because you have to like step on it, probably for 20 minutes, like 30 minutes to like completely work it, right? So first press, and yeah, the dough becomes like that, but like they're still rough, right? So like we need to do this a couple times to make sure that all that dough is like worked up, right? And then the gluten is fully developed inside dough. Yeah, you guys can imagine like like a guy actually stepping on the dough with his feet, right? Yeah, it's like if you don't know like what he's doing, like, and then you'd be yeah, it's like just imagine like you just going to this udon shop, and like you see a guy like yeah, sipping something, the feet his feet, and then like eat. Then you go in and like eat your bowl of like udon, and then later you found out that like the guy was sipping on dough that like udon dough that you just had, right? Like, but that's actually what's happening now at some udon shops in Kankagawa too. So that's the third press, and you maybe like notice that like dough is like getting smoother, and like the surface like getting smoother and smoother. And as she was like each time like she's folding it inwards, and to make sure like all the areas of the dough like gets the press, right? So we want to have like kind of equal amount like pressure on like entire areas of dough. And after 4 minutes of mixing, yeah, so we want to sort of like kind of clean inside and make sure like all the dough debris, the flour is just kind of mixed up like the other parts of the dough, right? And then yeah, and then we just mix it for like another 1 minute. So the total mixing time is just 5, right? So that's the dough um, done for the third press. Okay, maybe yeah, it needs another round of press. So yeah, so she's folding it, and yeah, get ready for another press. Okay, that's the alarm that let us know that the mixing is done. Yeah, so you can imagine like the guy, well, they have to like well step on the dough with his feet like for 30 minutes to get that sort of like same dough, right? That's been worked with the gluten developed, right? So but like you just have to do this like 4 times to get the same effect, right, on the dough. And that saves a lot of time and energy. So before we put this dough back in a resting cabinet, it's wise to divide them, divide it into like sizes that are kind of easier for you to be able to like start sheeting the next day, because the workspace in this the machine is limited. Like as you sheet it, the dough gets larger and larger, and then like gets like harder and harder like for you to be able to like kind of handle it like well properly. And so it eats. So you want to divide it like before you place them back into the resting cabinet. So yeah, let's wait for until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning for this to be done. We have to like rest it like 18 degrees Celsius like that for overnight. So yeah, we have to wait, right? But of course, that's we don't want to waste you guys time like like that. So like yeah, she made prepared the dough the day before yesterday, and the day before I mean yesterday, right? So that's the dough after second resting process. So it's like a workout, and like doing exercise, like kind of walking a muscle. And so before you after right after you do that the press, right, press exercise, like the dough is like pumped up, like it is like worked up, like pumped up, right, like your muscle. And but like after the second resting, right, the dough the muscle like the dough is like rested, well rested. So like you know, when you push it, like you can feel that, it's not as bouncy as like before, and so it's easier to yeah process as well. It's like when you push it, right, and then like if you push that dough, like you just press, right, and then um, it'll be like really hard to like kind of like press it, like kind of keep it down, like kind of flatten it. So we're gonna start sheeting, and so we start from like first gear, and that's the like widest roller gap, and we gradually thin it. We gradually thin it, and that's important, and because if we like thin it like drastically, and that would like damage like all like gluten structure, that we worked so hard to develop, right, so far. So that's why we have this gear, right? The shift gear that goes from like first one to like 12. Just kind of gradually like narrow the roller gap. So it's kind of like dough sheet, getting like kind of sheet shape and getting thinner and thinner. And notice like if like as she's the dough, she's like dusting it, right? Because this is a high hydration noodle, and so you have to dust it. A type of dusting powder like she's using is actually exactly the same wheat flour that like she used to make this dough. See, it's like the area of the dough sheet is like getting larger and larger, like as it gets thinner, and then that's common sense. But like um, so it has this sensor that measures the thickness of dough, and remember we talked about you know the noodle size is pretty important, and the thickness and width, right? And that's very important. So getting the right thickness in this process like is critical. Like developing the making great noodle texture. And it's not showing, so like it's probably too thick still. So the display is showing the thickness of the dough that's being sheeted, right? And see, so that's 6.5 millimeter, but that's double. So like divide in half, right? So that's roughly about 3.2 millimeter in thickness. So she's folding it to fit that into the size of the cutter that's going through, and so we're gonna cut it, and yeah, so this machine uses like the cutter, exactly like kind of pretty similar to like how like handmade noodles are cut using that knife, right? And yeah, so they're like the noodles like lined up like pretty organized, and then well, you have to like sprinkle the dusting powder, and that's different. Like this time was like around like that's like starch, some type of starch, right? And so that's going to prevent the noodles from sticking, especially the area that are cut, right? And those are the area like that are like prone to sticking. So yeah, you have to like dust them, dust well. So this way, she's separating this batch of noodles into roughly kind of like roughly like in kind of batch, like in kind of like proper sizes, and then like kind of combing through the noodles to kind of make them straight. Like because when you pour them into cooker, right? If they are like tangled up, and then like they are not going to cook well. So while she can like she's kind of like straightening them up. So okay, yeah, that's beautiful, and it's so let's move to our kitchen, and let's cook some udon noodles. Yeah, so she's our instructor, like Ms. Sano, and she's going to show us the how to cook udon noodles, and then at the same time, like how to wash them, and like put them into some product that's like really interesting, and then very appropriate for this time of year. So for especially for those people like for watching from Northern Hemisphere when it's cold. And so please, let's get started.
今回はテイクアウトできる辛い鍋焼きうどんを作っていきます。
Okay, so what she's making today is that like she's gonna make udon noodles that are that are for takeout, and but udon noodles that are like kind of hot pot udon noodles, and at the same like it's spicy hot pot udon noodles that's for takeout.
はい、じゃあうどん入れます。
You just watch how she puts the noodles into the cooking water, right? And notice like how how much like the heat is the boiler is set up, right? And then like look at it like bubbles, like the boiling, the intensity of boiling, right? Like when you put the udon, it has to be like rolling, boiling, and then yeah, and then the timer is set to 7 minutes, and
今回、タイマー7分に設定してます。で、鍋焼きうどんで後から火が入るので、ちょっと短めに、いつも9分入れてるんですけど、今回7分にしていきます。
okay, so for regular type of udon noodles, like that's the cooking time is like usually 9 minutes, but if we are doing well, nabeyaki, that's hot pot udon noodles, and so because udon noodles are going to be cooked again, so yeah, that's why like she's gonna cook them shorter time.
はい、で、こちらが7分茹でた後のものです。で、ここに、
Yeah.
はい、今から盛り付けしていきます。
Okay, so that's the udon noodle like that she only cooked for 7 minutes, and then because we hate wasting you guys time, and so she's going to plate it.
白菜乗せます。この方に。
So that's kind of like type of like leafy vegetable like we have in Japan, like typically, and then that's a kind of leafy vegetable that's used for hot pot in the winter season.
これニラです。
And that's the type of vegetable that like we use. Like it looks like green onions, but like it is not. Like it's kind of garlicky, the flavor to it. And that's just tofu, and yeah, and it leaks, right? Shiitake mushroom. Look at that cut that she made, right? And then like that's carrots, and then that like they're curved carrots, like that's beautiful. And for the meat, like protein, that's the pork shoulder, I'm guessing.
で、盛り付け完成です。
So that's done, and
で、テイクアウト用なので、上からラップかけます。
yeah, so this is for takeout. So like you want to put a wrap on it, and
はい、で、麺はこの状態で。
yeah, close it, right? And then
で、ここにシェイクしてある、スープ。
yeah, so that's a soup that like that's vacuum sealed, right? Soup that she made like in advance, right?
味噌をベースにしたスープになってます。
That's like miso based
で、
soup.
こっちが、辛い粉。
Then that's I'm guessing like chili powder, right? Yeah.
で、これを袋に入れてテイクアウトとして。
So yeah, so Well, you may have like your own package or something, like, but like this is basically like, basic kind of package. Like, well, you typically see in Japan, maybe like, yeah, you could have like takeout, like, at like some udon shop. So that's it. And then yeah, so the customer would just have to like kind of pour the soup, and then like when you get home, when they get home, right, and then just pour the soup, and then like just heat it, and everything, like just cook it, right?
じゃあ、実際にこれを、
Oh, okay, yeah. So
します。
she's going to cook it, right? So yeah, miso is like very seasonal. I guess like kind of brings like kind of seasonality, like in the winter when it's cold, and then like it's very um, yeah, it's very yeah, so like kind of soul food kind of yeah sense that like they usually used for kind of hot pot, and it goes pretty well with the spicy, like it's hot spicy um, yeah, flavor. So
で、上から黒い粉かけます。
yeah, and just sprinkle that. I'm pretty sure that's chili powder. Yeah,
はい。
she's saying like hot powder, but
で、これで、具材に火が通るまで煮込んで完成になります。
yeah. So like all you just have to do is just just cook it until like all the ingredients are heated and cooked. Then you can just like you can just start digging.
はい、以上です。
So yeah, that's it, and that's pretty easy. The like product, as long as you have like your own like craft noodle noodles, then it's an easy product to make, and we'll take out, and that's really good for the winter time. Like it's getting colder, and people love this type of product, and it's gonna make a pretty good takeout menu at your restaurant. So let's please try it, and then yeah, and yeah. So that's